Ladies, some people will absolutely siphon your energy with their jealousy and negativity if you let them. There are some people who take joy in siphoning the energy of other people. What do I mean by siphoning your energy? These are often people who are referred to as energy vampires. While vampires is not something I subscribe to, the fact that some people can be so negative, so toxic, so jealous and envious in nature, where they want to dump all their trauma on you and destroy your spirit. Energy vampires are people who siphon your energy. They often get a kick out of somehow trying to break your confidence, break your spirit, break your will to live in some cases. Energy vampires are people who siphon other people's energy. They actually want you to feel as low as they feel. Those type of people are typically the people who have already given up on their lives. They feel like their lives are so miserable. They want to spread that misery around. And they often target women, especially jealous women who are jealous of other women. They often target women who they see have a lot of joy, a lot of zest for life. They actually are, joyful for the most part in their own lives. You will often find yourself being a target of an energy siphon. You can tell when you're dealing with someone who wants to siphon off your energy by, number one, when you talk to them, you feel 10 times worse when you're done than you felt when you first started. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you felt perfectly fine? You might have a phone call from a friend, a family member, and before you know it, at the end of the conversation, you feel very heavy. You feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. That might be one sign that you're dealing with somebody who siphons your energy. And I'm not talking about people who need to unload, they need to vent, they just need somebody to talk to. I'm talking about people who have a consistent habit of dumping all of their trauma on you. And they tend to do it when you are at your highest moment, when you're feeling the best. I've heard of many scenarios where women, they're in relationships where every time they're happy, it's like their spouse or the person they're with, they come along and they try to sour the mood, sour the situation. You could be planning a party, an event, what have you, and this is the time when that person will come along with their nasty demeanor, their nasty attitude to ruin the vibe, to ruin the atmosphere. Energy siphons, energy vampires, they do things like that because they are very narcissistic in nature. They want everything to be about them in that moment, even if it's in a negative way. And you can tell when somebody's siphoning off your energy when you suddenly go from being up here feeling happy to all the way down there when you are done dealing with them. I can't tell you how many times I would continue to entertain conversations with people who I know by the time I get off the phone or by the time I leave the event, I'm going to be depressed, anxious, and not feeling like myself. And when you feel that way, you are dealing with somebody who siphons your energy. And a lot of times it's not the type of person who just doesn't know, they're not self-aware. Sometimes it's those people who see you being a little bit too happy, being a little bit too easygoing, being a little bit too faith-filled, spirit-led, and they're like, okay, I have to do something to bring her down a notch. So you're going to be my target. Anytime I have something negative to talk about, anytime I have something that, is horrific and I know you don't like to handle those kind of things, I'm going to pinpoint you because I don't like all that positive energy you have. Energy siphons absolutely operate that way. I have dealt with those things in my own life, and you can tell it, especially when it's very blatant. When you are talking about something positive and all of a sudden the person you're talking to, they turn it around to be a negative or they respond with something negative. You are dealing with someone who siphons your energy. I will give you an example. Let's say you're about to get married and you're talking about how you're about to get married and you're so happy and you met this person, you never saw marriage in your future, and I'm so happy I'm about to get married, and you're talking about plans and whatnot. The person you're talking to, when they're an energy siphon, they will actually start talking about, oh yeah, that's great, that's good. I hope it lasts because you know how so-and-so and them, your mom and them and the family, they couldn't make marriages last to save their lives. So I really hope your marriage work out because, your mama went through Billy and Billy went through Timmy, and they just run down the list of all of the negative things. That's how you can tell you are dealing with someone who siphons your energy, because their goal is to get you to doubt your happiness, doubt your joy, doubt the positive things that are happening in your life. They only know how to respond in a negative way. Energy siphons, they don't ever see the positive in anything. For every positive thing that you say, they have a negative to rebut it. So that's how you can, the number one way you can tell you're dealing with the energy siphon, they always have a negative for every positive you're talking about. I'll give you another example. Let's say you're a woman, as many times I've used this example, you're trying to lose weight. And you might come from a family where people are more heavy set, everybody's a little bit bigger, they're a little bit more thick, and you're losing weight, you're getting fit, you're doing all those things, and you might be talking to a cousin, an auntie, a friend, telling her about your weight loss journey and how you're happy with your progress. And here she swoops in to siphon your energy, saying, well, girl, that's good for you because your mama and them, they always been big. What does that have to do with you losing weight? And that's a real life example, because when I had my son, I got over the 200-pound mark. And then after I had him, I worked my tail off to lose weight and got down to 170. After being well over 200 pounds, I just was doing the most. But anyway, I worked out and I was talking to a friend of the family, and she was telling me how, yeah, your mom and them struggled to lose weight. Your mom tried to lose weight, but after a while, she just gave it up. But girl, I hope you able to do it. And then just went on and on and on about all the other big people in the family. Like somehow we was going through like levels of bigness. I'm like, what are we talking about at this point? It's like the shade of it all. But you have some people, they are such energy vampires. They're just such negative in nature that all they know how to do is respond to positive things in a negative way. And that might be something that might be minor, but you don't want to overlook those kind of things. And the reason why you don't want to overlook those kind of things is because, number one, if you are not a woman who is yet not strong enough mentally to be able to hear those things, recognize what it is, and disregard it, you will let those kind of people get into your head. And that's the number two thing that energy siphons, they come along to drain your energy, because number two, they want to be able to get into your head. They want to be able to have control over you in some way. And people know, especially energy siphons, people who are manipulative, maybe jealous and envious of you, they know if they can get into your head and control your emotions, control your thoughts, and have you worrying about what they think about you, then they can siphon your energy, break your confidence, and break your will to do whatever it is you're trying to do. Energy siphons, people who use their jealousy and envy to siphon off your confidence, to break your spirit, they're very strategic in how they move. They know exactly what they're doing when they say certain things to you, when they act certain ways. You will also see this come about in the way of trauma dumping. Now, I want to be very clear. It's not that it's not okay for people to vent to you. We all need somebody to talk to. We all need to vent once in a while. But as I've said before, you want to talk to people who are solution-based. You don't want to be dealing with people who just dump on you just to dump on you. Because people like that, and you have to be very careful, some people, once again, because if they know the kind of person you are and they see that you don't hold on to negativity for very long, you don't do a lot of negativity in the world, you deal with different things, but you generally don't let these things get you down. You will often be the target of the jealous, miserable person and or toxic person who wants to siphon your energy. And it's simply because you don't do a lot of negativity. They often directly seek out people who are more positive, more upbeat, to dump all their problems on, because they feel like if they're miserable, then you should be miserable too. And I'm not talking about empathizing with other people. I'm talking about people who are upset at your happiness, upset at your joy. Upset at your uneasiness, at your easygoing nature. When you have people like that, they will go out of their way to trauma dump on you. That will be the time they tell you about all their life's issues, about their neighbor's life's issues, and about everything that's wrong happening in the world. I don't even at this point in my life, I don't even like discussing too much of the current events for too long, because a lot of people have made current events, the world issues, things that are happening, they've made that their entire identities. Like, I don't understand, and this is a little bit of a sidebar, I don't understand how some people can watch the news all day long, because it's nothing but negativity. The news station, social, the media, that siphons your energy and drains your energy more than anything else. But when you have people, they get so inundated with that, next thing you know, you could be talking to them about something just laid back, just having a regular conversation, talking about yourself. And next thing you know, they're dumping what the world is doing, what this is doing, what's happening in politics, and all these other things. You have some people that are so inundated with politics that they actually, this is a real story or a real thing that happened. I had a lady, one of my subscribers, I don't know if she's still subscribed to me or not, but I made a comment about a political figure on one of my other videos, and she said, "Did you say his nonsense? I've been watching you every day, but I absolutely love him. I can't follow you anymore." Do you really think that some of these political figures care about you as much as you care about them? So you are getting value from what I'm offering, but because you have allowed yourself to idolize a political figure, you can no longer listen to me because I mentioned something bad about him. The idolatry and the mind games that a lot of the media and just the things in the world, the way they just have that overwhelming control over people's mind, much like the energy vampire, the energy siphon, you really have to be aware of those kind of things and be mindful that you don't allow yourself to be swept up in those kind of things. And people who are like that are often easily persuaded, which is another reason why you want to be mindful of energy vampires. So I'm going to give you 5 ways you can protect yourself from people who want to siphon your energy. Number 1, change your environment. If you are dealing with people who every time you're around them, you leave feeling 10 times heavier than what you felt when you went in, you need to remove your environment. Some of us have had toxic relatives, toxic cousins, toxic aunties. Look, some of our parents are very heavy, very energy vampire-like. They like to siphon our energy with a lot of negativity. I grew up around those kind of people where every time something good was going on for me, they would swoop in with their negativity and try to tell me why it's not going to work. Try to tell me why it doesn't make sense for where I come from. Try to tell me that, well, make sure this, make sure that, just all of the negatives. Of course, you have to be aware of the negative things, but there's something about people who go out of their way to highlight the negativity for you when they see that you're up. It's like when you're up, they want to see you all the way down here. That is the energy siphon. So you might have to change your environment. And I know a lot of you young ladies, you might be college bound. You might even be, still at home with your parents. So it's not so easy for you to get away from the environment where people are draining your energy. But as much as you can, try to put yourself in environments with like-minded people who are trying to do the same things as you or think the same way you do, especially if it's in a positive way and it's something that's helping you as a young lady. Don't surround yourself with people who have 5 negatives for every 1 positive thing that you're doing. So change up your environment. If you're around people who have a sad sap mentality, a miserable mentality, they're always down and depressed about something, they're not even trying to do anything. And I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm talking about people who just take joy in being the face of misery and negativity. Don't let them drain your energy, and don't let their jealousy towards you for being a light in a dark place get you down. So you may have to change your environment, number 1. Number 2, set boundaries with people. The wonderful part, in my opinion, about being a grown woman is that you don't have to always tolerate everything. I know many of us have been taught as women, especially as young girls coming up, We've been taught that over respect factor, where it's like you have to respect people so much so that you let them dump all over you. You let them treat you however they want to treat you, all because you're trying to be kind and show people grace. But I'm here to tell you, as a grown woman, you don't have to tolerate everything, and you can set boundaries in your life that people have to either abide by or they can be gone. Simple as that. Because setting boundaries for you is safety. Look, I am a Christian, and in the scripture, there are many boundaries that God has been in place to safeguard us against different things. And that's literally how I live my life, be it spiritually and just in the natural. There are things that I just set boundaries on. It's like I don't even take calls after a certain time because I know that I can't go to sleep with all of these negative things on my mind. I can't sit on the phone all night and talk to somebody about every person who has left this lifetime and then go right to sleep. I can't even watch a lot of negative things on TV, horror, and all these other things. Like, I have boundaries in place. Don't wait until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to call me and tell me all of the negative things going on in your life. Like, talk to the Lord. I will pray for you and I will call you in the morning. But that's just a boundary of mine because I appreciate and I value my mental health. And ladies, the more you become self-aware and you know your worth and you know your value and you appreciate yourself and you love yourself more, you will start to realize that letting people overstep your boundaries, that doesn't do anything except for hurt you. You might make other people feel comfortable, but I don't believe that we have to make other people feel comfortable by hurting ourselves. I don't see that written in scripture, and I just don't believe that in my life. So number 2, set boundaries. Number 3, and this might be controversial to say, stop being so nice. Some ladies, and this is how you get taken by energy vampires, jealous people, people who are envious of you, people who are miserable in nature. This is how you get taken advantage of by people who are so unaware. And this is why, ladies, you have to have a heightened sense of discernment and wisdom to know when you're dealing with people who lack self-awareness. When you're dealing with people who lack self-awareness, it is not okay to be too nice to those people. And for many of my spiritual people, many of my Christians, followers, believers, a fruit of the Spirit is not nice. Kindness, not niceness, kindness. When you're able to be kind, you're still able to do those things for people and be there if somebody needs you. But being overly nice, you give people the impression that they can just do, say, act however they want to act. And you're just okay with it because you're just happy times, No. As a grown woman, in order to protect yourself from energy vampires, people who want to siphon your energy and positivity, you cannot be too nice to certain people. I have experienced multiple times in my life how being too nice to people will get you taken advantage of. And you have to know how to fill people out to know how much of your niceness, how much of your kindness, how much of yourself you're willing to give. And again, because I know some overly righteous people are saying like, we're not supposed to think like that. You're supposed to help everybody. Show me where it says that. I don't see it. So being overly nice to people, that is something you want to stop doing, especially people who you already perceive to be takers. People who like to take advantage of other people's kindness, of other people's niceness. You need to stop being so nice to them. Learn how to be a little bit more stoic, be kind, but don't have people thinking that because you're nice, they can take advantage of you, because they will. Number 3. Number 4, never ever tolerate disrespect. That's self-explanatory. Ladies, you are a person. And I know that sounds weird, but I had to tell myself this. You're a person. I'm a person too. Like, who are you to yell at me? Who are you to talk to me in that kind of way? Like, if you expect me to talk to you with respect, you have to talk to me with respect. But people who are obnoxious and overbearing and they like to siphon the energy of other people with their jealousy, envy, and toxicity and what have you, they often feel like you're not a person. Like, that goes in alignment with how you being overly nice can somehow get you taken advantage of, sometimes get you taken advantage of. When people perceive your niceness and your nature as a cue for disrespect, you have to change it up. You might be presenting in a way where you're being too vulnerable with the wrong person. And a part of being a feminine woman is being able to be vulnerable, not always being on the defense, not always being suspicious of everybody. But as wise feminine women, you have to be aware of who you are being vulnerable with. You cannot be so overly trusting of everybody. And people who can sense that you have a little bit of that naivete, like you're feminine and you're soft and you are a little bit naive, they will feel like talking to you in a tone that is disrespectful is okay. And you might be hesitant to correct it because, again, we've been taught, some of us, especially if your parents were from the South, they might have taught you your pleases and your thank yous and your yes ma'am, no sir, which is wonderful. But if you act that way with the wrong people, they're going to eat you up. They're going to start treating you as if you are some kind of person that they can just take advantage of and talk to and treat however you want. I always say, you set the tone for how people treat you. So I'd rather go in setting the tone where it's like, okay, you know, respect on both ends. But, you know, and you often have to do this in like work environments, you know, any place, school environments, any place you're going to be around a large group of people, especially other women and men alike, but especially something about other women. When other women, especially certain women who have that bully-like kind of mentality, let me sip some of my water. Other women who have that kind of bullyish, you know, jealous, kind of mean girl type of energy, if you walk in being way too nice and you allow them to say, hey, you girl, hey, I can't stand when somebody addresses me saying, hey is for horses. Like, don't say hey to me. Excuse me, sorry, something, you know? But the point of me saying this is that you have to set the tone for how people treat you. Even when you go into different spiritual environments, you know, churches, you know, some people can be overly righteous where they think that, okay, you're coming in, they can just talk down to you, talk however they want. And you have to set the tone, especially being a younger woman. It's something about being a younger woman that sometimes people who tend to be older than you, they just look at you and treat you as if they can just speak to you however they want. I can't tell you how many times I've got mistaken to just be some young girl. And people didn't know I had a whole life, 2 teenagers, you know, a whole husband. I'm doing real life here. Like, I'm not some young girl. Like, we're not the same, you know, that kind of thing. And I don't say that in a way of being conceited. I say that what it is. But some people, because they're ignorant and they'll perceive you as being something that you're not, sometimes they can give them that opening for disrespect. Don't deal with it. So never tolerate anybody's disrespect. That can be a video all on its own, and I may do a video on just not tolerating disrespect in the future. And number 5 way you protect yourself from energy siphons, people who want to siphon your energy, is, and this really should have been number 1, but if I put this as number 1, I know people might not be here. But the number 5, but also number 1 way you protect yourself from energy siphons, people who want to siphon your energy and your confidence, is by your faith, your spirituality. For me, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, I always get into the scripture. I always meditate, pray. Me knowing who I am in God helps me to not allow myself to be drained by the negativity of other people. For me, my foundation is God. So because of that, I can kind of try the spirit of people to know if they're trying to siphon my energy, if they're trying to get me weighed down on purpose, if they're trying to break me down in some way, if they're trying to hold me back in some way. I can sense that and shut it down. And it's simply because of the Spirit of God on the inside of me. And I believe being a woman, if having God in your life, having that kind of relationship, it's so important because that really is the foundation for who you are as a person and the way I believe as a woman. For me, speaking for myself, because of my relationship with God, there is very little that people can do to shake me in that regard because I don't care. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I know who I am. And when you have that level of like groundedness, you are not so easily drained by the negativity of other people. You simply remove yourself from that environment, pray for them people, and go ahead about your business. But only if you have that foundation and you know what God says about a thing, can you really operate that way. So, in order to protect yourself from people who like to drain, siphon your energy, some people refer to them as energy vampires. Nonetheless, these people will often come along to try to siphon your energy simply because they're miserable, they may be jealous or envious of you, they are irritated by your light, and they need to break you down in some way. Do not let them do it. All right? Like and subscribe to this channel and share this content. Share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.